Yes guys, how's it going? Welcome back to a new video. Hope you guys are all having a great day. I said in yesterday's video that things are starting to hot up a little bit for Newcastle United this January window, and there has been loads going on in the last 24 hours, so we have got plenty to get through in today's video, and that includes players potentially leaving Newcastle this January window. We've heard about Ryan Fraser, Carl Darlow potentially leaving, but the big one is that Chris Wood looks set to leave Newcastle United this January window on loan to Nottingham Forest. So let me know your thoughts on that one down in the comments below. First of all, should we be letting Chris Wood go this January window? And if he is going to go, should it be on a loan or should we be looking to sell? And you'd imagine if we are going to let players go, that Eddie Howe and Dan Ashworth will have the players coming in ready to go as well. Some of the players we have been linked with, as I mentioned, Moussa Diaby in yesterday's video, but the one catching a lot of headlines at the moment is Moukoko, the Dortmund player that a lot of fans seem very keen on and is being linked to Newcastle, Chelsea, Barcelona, but yeah, we'll talk about him and a few others a little bit as well. And it's fair, to be honest, if Newcastle are going to bring players in, we really need to let a few players go. We have a huge squad right now. We have players on the fringe who aren't even in the squad because there's too many right now. So it makes sense that if we are going to do business to bring players in, that we also do business to try and move players out as well. And could it be not just because of squad size, but potentially because of money as well? The Deloitte money list for football clubs was released last night, so I want to talk a little bit about that as well. Newcastle made it into the top 20 for the first time in a while, which is great news for us, is an improvement, and hopefully, you know, we can keep going up. But first, guys, if you are watching this video, and I know loads of you watch my videos every day, and you haven't hit that red subscribe button, please do. It's free to do so. It really helps the channel. It just means you guys are notified every time I do a video, and we're getting really close to 40,000 subscribers as well, which would be amazing. So if you're not subscribed, please hit the big red button. So let's talk a little bit about this money list that has come out. The main thing really is that Newcastle are on the up. Big thumbs up. We made approximately 30 million more in 2022 than we did in 2021, which is great. We made it into the top 20 of football teams for the first time in a while, which is also great. And we are one of the few teams on that list who don't have European football as well, which we will hopefully change very soon. Now, what was interesting that has been revealed is our wages. And this is what I'm coming on to in this January window. I know, or it's rumoured, that Chris Wood is in fact one of the highest paid players at the club because of the fashion that we brought him in last January window. We wanted the deal done. Are we looking at a way to potentially move some of his wages out the way so that we can then bring somebody else in? We'll have to wait and see, but it's actually said that Newcastle United spend 95% of all revenue made on wages. So pretty much all of the money that's coming in at the moment is going straight back out on wages again. And that is because at the moment we are not into Europe yet. We are trying to bring the commercial deals in, but we're not there just yet. And it's great that we've got these wealthy owners who have come in and are pushing us in the right direction. And that's why we're bringing people in like Darren Eales, who are going to try and basically over 2023 get that structure in a place that works best for the club. One of the really interesting things that I found on this list was that in 2022, from commercial revenue, Newcastle United made 33 million, okay? So, you know, that pays for, some of Bruno. Chelsea made 209 million. So in the same year, Chelsea made 180 million more than Newcastle did commercially. So that's sponsors, And we know that Peter Silverstone, and we've seen all of the new sponsors, Newcastle getting sponsored by Monster Energy drink, and the sponsors when we're going out to Saudi Arabia, all that kind of stuff. Man City made 373 million. Man City made over 10 times more than we did commercially. And it's the start, it's the start of something. It's all quite interesting, to be honest, and the reason, you could look at that and go, oh, we're not where we want to be, but we're getting there. That's the thing. As I've said, we've already improved in the year previously. I know that year was actually a pandemic year, so I think a lot of people improved, but we have improved, and we are taking the right steps. The right people are coming in. We're already making some of these deals, and in fairness, we probably haven't seen the financial benefit of them yet, if they're paid over a certain amount of time. So you'd imagine as we go on, as more and more people come in, that will go up, and yeah, we will see kind of how that changes over time. But generally speaking, yeah, the wages one was an interesting one. It just shows that right now, if we are going to bring players in, we've got to let players go in terms of that wage bill. We don't want to be spending more than we're bringing in. And I understand that we have the owners and that we could, in theory, do that. But they're trying to keep it sustainable. They're trying to do it right. We don't want to spend 150% over what we're bringing in. So if we do want to do that, you've got to look at players going out as well. And one of those players is Chris Wood. It's an interesting one because I've heard a lot of people talking about Chris Wood, both positively and negatively. The positives are that, yes, he came in at a time and did a great job in the team. When he does come on, he works his heart out. There's so many nice things to say about Chris Wood, but also he doesn't fit our style of football. This is the thing, and that's nothing against him. He scores a great pen, but it's not quite what we need in that position right now. And when you've got Wilson or Isak, it's one of them. He's a third choice striker. What a lot of the teams do is, in fact, not have three strikers, but have two senior strikers and then a youngster who can maybe play on the left or the right, or can fit in here or can fit in there. Chris Wood isn't that. Chris Wood is probably best used bringing on late and trying to lump the ball in. And that's not the way Eddie Howe plays his football, so really, he's just not fitting the structure. If we are letting him go on loan, the assumption is that it will be a loan with an option to buy, or a loan where we aren't paying the wages, which comes back to what I said earlier, which frees up the ability for us to bring other players in as well. I'm not going to get too hung up on the money side of things, because really I'm not a financial expert. This is not financial advice, but it's just trying to get an idea, and that's what Eddie Howe's been saying for a while, and that's what Dan Ashworth was saying in his interview as well, is that we can't just go out and just do whatever. In terms of Ryan Fraser, Carl Darlow, and we've got about 1 million goalkeepers in a minute. Karius has actually just signed an extended contract, which would also assume that Carl Darlow is set to move out as well. But yeah, I think the thing with Chris Wood is yes, I do agree, he hasn't really fitted the system. When he does come on, he is missing chances that I think people are quite frustrated with. You look at the Sheffield Wednesday one, where really it was on a plate and he should have scored. And if we're going to have that, would we not be better off bringing in someone who's young, exciting and quick, who can in fact come in and potentially elevate that position, or at the very least learn? I'm actually surprised if Chris Wood wants to go, unless Eddie Howe's saying to him, look, if you don't go, we're going to bring somebody in anyway, and you're not even going to be involved in the squad. Like, that would be a real hard ball. But if I was Chris Wood, I would rather be a bit part player in a Newcastle team than going. And in fairness, Nottingham Forest aren't actually in the bottom three at the moment. They're doing okay, but generally speaking, you'd imagine that's where they'll be around at the end of the season. If I was Chris Wood, I would rather play a bit part in Newcastle than have to go and fight for things somewhere else. Especially considering how great the feeling is around Newcastle. I'm sure he's great friends with a lot of the guys up here, but maybe that shows his hunger, and maybe that's because I'm a Newcastle fan. Maybe that shows his hunger to want to play first team football, and if that's the case, Big up Chris Wood. Now, in terms of a replacement, Moukoko appears to be one that a lot of Newcastle fans are keen on and is being linked through a whole number of reports right now. He's said to be 18 years old. There's a bit of a question mark on his exact age. Some reports coming out not too long ago that he's in fact 21 or 22, but he's certainly a young player with bags of talent and very quick, and can, in fact, not just play down the middle, but on the left or the right, similar to, you know, Moussa Diaby, who we spoke about in yesterday's video. Someone who can come in, who's young, can learn, similar to, you know, like what we did with Isak in the summer, who can come in and learn behind Callum Wilson. We kind of want that third option, who isn't just a striker, can play here, there, will spread the depth across the front three, and Moukoko's one that Newcastle are reportedly interested in. Now, it's said that both Chelsea and Barcelona are also interested, and a lot of this is around the fact that his contract ends this summer window at Dortmund. And because of that, you'd imagine the price tag wouldn't be too high. 10 to 15 million for this guy. And, you know, I've no doubt he knows the situation himself as well. He could probably run it down until the summer and maybe go wherever he wants. But Dortmund, if they can't get him to sign, would likely look to move him on this January so they can get some money from him. And it's a similar situation with Marcus Thuram, the Bayern Mönchengladbach striker. Now, he's just 25 years old as well and has a great record over there at the moment. Chelsea are also interested in him. I think Chelsea are interested in every player at the moment. But same with him. His contract also ends this summer window. I've spoken about this loads, and it's the January window. If it's availability, it's players that you can bring in. I don't think that it's always going to be easy in a January window to go out and just go, right, I want him. Because, look, the Maddison one, it's clear we're interested. It's clear Maddison wants to leave, to be honest, but I think Leicester will want too much money and we won't want to pay it. And that's generally what happens in a January window. There's not enough time to organise it. There's not enough players available. There's two strikers right there who, if they're not bought, will walk on a free in the summer. So both teams will be looking to try and move them on. I think the Moukoko one would be a great fit, and I know I spoke about Moussa Diaby as well. The price tag on him is way higher because he has a contract and Leverkusen don't need to let him leave. Moukoko, if they don't let him leave, they lose money. And that's the thing, if we can move on, you know, a 30 plus Chris Wood, take the wages back and put it into a youngster who's coming in on a reasonable fee, that wouldn't be bad going at all. It's not to say that I don't still think we need to go and spend in other positions on the pitch as well. I think the likes of, you know, Ryan Fraser, who's being linked away, Matt Ritchie has been linked away this window as well. I think there's certainly stuff to be done before the end of this window. It's just, and I get it. Same with Matt Ritchie. He's a player who's into his final year of his contract. He's probably enjoying himself in the training ground with the lads. Newcastle are doing great. It's a great feeling. Why does he want to go and slog it out in some team in the Championship when he can sit up here and get paid and have a chill? So I totally, that's why it's hard to move players on, and this is the struggle, and that's the thing. We could just see a bit of a change into the guard in the summer window when contracts are going down and players naturally move on. When Ritchie's deal ends and he moves on, and Dubbett's deal ends and he moves on. But it's some of the players who have longer contracts who will be tougher to kind of talk to and see if they want to go. And in such a small January window, to be trying to get players out, to get players in, I think that's why Dan Ashworth said in his interview that if stuff was going to happen this window, it would be at the end. Because there's just a lot of talking to do before we actually see any deals go through. So, yeah, I think the main one right now is that Chris Wood deal. Let me know your thoughts on it down below. Are you happy with him going? You see, the thing is for me, if Chris Wood goes, but we don't bring anybody in, then obviously it wasn't worth doing. Especially if it was a loan. If it was a sell for 25 million and we're kind of recuperating that money back, then yeah, I think it's worth it because we can spend it again in the summer. Chris Wood, really, you're hoping isn't going to get any game time because it's Wilson and Isak. But if we're loaning him and we're not bringing somebody in, then maybe we should just keep him. Or are you of the opinion that Chris Wood literally should not be allowed on the pitch at all? Because I know that is the opinion of some, and I get it, because he hasn't been great at times, but I would still say he's been better than having no backup at all if we suddenly find ourselves with another injury. And of the players we have been linked with, who's the one you would like to see? Do you like the idea of maybe a player who can fit a few roles, including up front, rather than just getting another centre-forward in? Because as I say, you want it to be Isak and Wilson. Really what I'd like is to find a way to play Isak and Wilson together. But that's for another day. Alright guys, thanks for watching. As always, drop a like and subscribe if you have enjoyed this video. Pretty much posting content every day at the moment. And I am at the Crystal Palace game this Saturday. So cannot wait to head down to London tomorrow for the day, and then hopefully see us pick up a win on Saturday. The full preview of that game will most likely be out tomorrow, so keep your eyes peeled for that as well. Alright guys, thanks for watching, enjoy your evening, and I'll catch you later.